When his father, Bahauddin Veled, passed away in 1231, Rumi succeeded him as professor in religious sciences, the largest theological school in Konya. Only 24 years old, Rumi was already an accomplished scholar in religious and positive sciences. Although Rumi had already succeeded to his father's position as a teacher, when the great scholar and Sufi Burhanuddin al-Tirmizi arrived in Konya, Rumi studied under him and devoted himself to his service for 9 years. This training was focused on divine love, worship, austerity and abstinence, piety, consciousness of God, humility and tolerance, which are the foundations of Sufism. Rumi spent his days mostly praying and serving people who came to visit the Sufi center, preparing food for them, collecting wood for cooking and heating, and cleaning the toilets and bathrooms used by visitors. He thus learned the merit of serving people and knew that serving people is ultimately serving God.
Insight and education, of course, came from the influence of his father. But when his father died, he took the mantle of his father and expanded on the scholarship and the theology of his father.
His mother and father inculcated in him the basics of the Sufi path, the importance of reading the Quran and learning it, of fasting, of separating yourself from the things of this world. And they taught him kindness and respect and love of fellow human beings. He grew up in a household that had many visitors, and they welcomed everybody. They never left anyone out, and his father always made sure that everyone left with something. Rumi was brought up in a very giving and very educated family.
The origin and roots of Sufism lie in the life and practices of the Prophet of Islam and the Quran. Sufism espouses a well-founded and thoroughgoing interpretation of Islam, which focuses on love, tolerance, worship of God, community development, and personal development through self-discipline and responsibility. A Sufi's way of life is to love and be of service to people, deserting the ego or false self and all illusion so that one can reach maturity and perfection, and finally reach Allah, the true, the real.
Sufism is a path to God, as I understand it. It's the inner core of Islam. It is a path to God which is of religion, but not a religion. It's a path of the heart to God. It's a purification of the heart. Someone once said that there's 70,000 veils separating us from God. And I view Sufism as a removal, one by one, of these veils. And there's stages and steps that one goes through. And so one could say it's a purification of the heart. It's getting rid of anything that separates you from God, so that there's room for nothing else but remembrance of God in your heart. Sufis live in this world, but they seek a deeper meaning of this world, of the life in this world. They live in this world. They're in this world, but not of the world.
It is simply the ways developed by Sufis to reach God, acquire His love, and thus to purify and train oneself and become a perfect human being, become a true human being. While Sufism expresses the theoretical or philosophical aspect of this search, its practical aspect is usually referred to as being a dervish. Dervish literally means the sill of the door. It is a word that describes the Sufi who is at the door to enlightenment.
Sham, and his influence evidently was a revolutionary influence, because he evidently was already a part of the Sufi tradition, and therefore was concentrated more on the heart and on the ecstasy of moving toward unity with God, whereas Rumi had been raised in the discussions that were primarily influenced by Aristotle and this kind of thinking.
Throughout his mature life as a sheikh, he always had a companion. For a mere 4 years or so, it was this key figure, Shamsuddin Tabrizi, about whom we know not a great deal. He was the one who helped Rumi move beyond the very literate academic study of the Islamic tradition to a spirituality focused on the love of God, that put all the books aside and focused on losing himself. Shamsuddin helped him make that transition. And then Shamsuddin disappeared. He actually disappeared 3 times, I think. And having, in a sense, accomplished what he needed to with Rumi, or what Rumi needed. For him to have stayed would have held Rumi back. But even after 1248, it didn't end there. But then there was also an external mirror. Salahuddin, for 10 years, had a special role with Rumi. And then after Salahuddin died in perhaps 1258 or so, then it was Husamuddin. So there was also always a partner, and that's different from what we hear among the other mystics. The importance of a partner, the importance of a mirror of the soul. That in our own spiritual journeys, we can't just do it alone. We need this partner of the soul, even though the journey is a solitary journey. It is to be alone with the alone.